that I have not had a father in my developmental process, I can still come to a place of victory in my personal development.
Ultimately, it is really not about who rejected you. It is truly about who accepts you.
I had to provide for myself, which is a father's job, right? Mm-hmm. I had to take care of my younger sibling, which was my father's job,
Absolutely.
Right?
You will discover that you will find within yourself the power to see yourself in the way that only you and God can see. Hello, hello, hello. This is R.C. Blakes, and I am so glad that you tuned in today. We're talking about something very interesting relative to the narcissist. Everybody likes to talk about narcissist. I had no clue that there was such an explosion of narcissism. But today I want to talk about the power of indifference when dealing with or managing a narcissist. Stay right there. I'll be back, and we're going to talk about this. Guys, this is R.C. Blakes, and I am so happy to be talking with you again, to have this opportunity to just share my thoughts with you, especially on this subject. I guess maybe 2/3 of my email is filled with people who are struggling with relationships with narcissists or some kind of narcissistic abuse. And as I always say, when I deal with this subject, I'm no counselor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not an expert or any kind of authority on this subject. I'm a student of it. And because I'm a pastor, I get a chance to see it more often than I realized I was looking at it. There is truly an explosion of narcissism and narcissists today, and there's a difference. I think all of us have tendencies, narcissistic tendencies, and have narcissistic episodes. But then there are persons who are just fundamentally, constitutionally broken and are actual narcissists who do not have the capacity to consider anyone else and lives his or her life for the sole purpose of selfishness, a selfish agenda. So as I was pondering this, here's something that I've discovered. There is power in possessing indifference when it comes down to your relationship with a narcissist. And indifference is defined as a lack of interest, a lack of concern, or a lack of a concern about or unconcern about, apathy about or towards, a nonchalant attitude about, disregard for, oblivious to, uninvolvement in or with. So to say that one is indifferent, it simply means that you're so emotionally removed from the situation that this individual that has been the puppet master of your life now no longer possesses access to your buttons. And so it's like nothing that they do moves you. And this is a powerful, powerful, powerful weapon. In fact, I believe it's probably the greatest weapon that you have against narcissistic abuse or any self-absorbed toxic individual. It's the power of indifference. Now, I think the thing to remember is that, or to understand is that you can't just act indifferent. You have to actually be at a place where you become indifferent. You know, there are too many times that people are acting as though, oh, this doesn't matter, and they're acting as though they're indifferent to a situation when the person that is inflicting this abuse he or she can read far beneath the surface, and they know it's an act. But you have to actually come to a place within yourself where your self-love takes over and you have a love for self-respect more than you do for some pseudo bogus relationship that you're trying to fabricate all by yourself because the other person is not participating. They're just simply taking. You have to come to a place where you've actually gotten tired of going around in these circles and wasting your life, spinning your wheels and coming up broken every time. You have to actually be at that place where you have actually become indifferent. And then you have to exercise some of the strategies that I'm talking about today to neutralize the abuse of this narcissistic individual. And I was pondering it, you know, it's what we're talking about today is not passive aggression. It is the response to passive aggression. It is your passive response to passive aggression as opposed to having the typical emotional meltdown that you normally would have after the behavior or the abuse of a narcissist. You come to a place where you're exercising, you're responding rather than reacting. Now, a primary definition of a narcissist is, let me also say this before I say that. It's important for you to exercise these strategies when you have come to a place where you've gotten clear in your own heart and mind that this is not ordained of God, this is not positive, this is not productive, this is just something diabolical, something demonic that was sent into my life to disrupt and dismantle. Well, sometimes you get to a place where you come to those realizations and you can just say, I'm done with it, and you can cut that situation. Sometimes you can do that. You can just cut a person off. But quite often a person that is so broken as a narcissist, it's not as simple as just cutting a person off, because this person many times can be very, very dangerous. If they're not physically dangerous, they can ruin you financially. They can ruin you socially. This person can be very, very dangerous. So this is a person that you don't necessarily cut off as much as, I forget who it was that I heard say this. This is not a person that you cut off as much as this is a person that you untie yourself from. You begin to untie the soul tie, and you begin to unravel the knots that have connected you to this person. So that's why this is important, because, you know, breaking free from a narcissist most of the time is a process, and it's an intentional, deliberate process that keeps you safe, and you know, it's a process that is one that does not allow things to get out of hand, because this person has no limits, because they don't have anything to lose, you see. So you have to approach this thing wisely, patiently, and intentionally. But as I was saying, the primary definition, you know, the elementary basic definition of a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Now that's the most primary and basic definition, but it gets to the point that I'm trying to make. A person that has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. A narcissist is a person that is built solely on the foundation of self. This is true relative to their relationships with their children, relative to their relationships with their siblings, relative to their romantic relationships, their work relationships, wherever you put them, the foundation of whatever they're doing is me, my, and I. So a narcissist is either seeking attention or for him or herself, or seeking to get personal needs met at the expense of others. The foundation is still self. They're either seeking attention for themselves, or if they're dealing with you, they are using you for personal needs or desires. The narcissist is what I call a self-worshiper. In fact, I think from Greek mythology, if I'm not mistaken, is where this comes from. Narcissus, I think is, I may be saying it wrong and not pronouncing all of the syllables in it, but this is a gentleman that fell in love with his own image in the waters, you know, demonstrating the psychology of a narcissist, that all they can see is themselves in every and any situation. So I call the narcissist a self-worshiper. His entire universe, or her entire universe, revolves around self-interest. It revolves around self-focus and self-concern. The narcissist's lifeline is people reacting or, watch this, responding to his promptings. The narcissist is powerless to provide for himself what he's leeching from his victims. So his energy is renewed by maintaining an emotional umbilical cord to the victim's soul. And listen to what the Bible says. Let me read that again. His energy is renewed by maintaining an emotional umbilical cord to his or her victim's soul. The Bible says in 2 Timothy 3:1-4, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, can't even have a natural, normal, loving relationship. Truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, never satisfied, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. Seems like the Bible is describing in graphic detail the characteristics of a narcissist. Now, so I call this, I call the narcissist a self-worshiper. And this is clearly the age of the narcissist. I believe it's due to poor parenting. Parenting has gotten weaker and weaker and weaker as the generations have gone by. Increasingly dysfunctional families play into the explosion of narcissists. Self-worship messages promoted from childhood, from overdoting parents to music to culture, just constantly promoting self-worship. I believe the number of narcissists today is probably greater than it's ever been in history. We are, even in the United States of America, a less loving, concerned group of people, empathetic. We lack that. We even lack sympathy quite often. The Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, well, let me read this statement before I read that. The mind traps for normal people, listen to this statement very carefully. The mind traps, and I'm reading from my notes, this is not a book. The mind traps for normal people, people sometimes ask, what book are you reading from? I'm reading from my notes. The mind traps for normal people dealing with this individual, the narcissist, the self-worshiper, is that normal people think that this is a normal relationship with a normal person. And when you are enmeshed, entangled with a narcissist, you are not in a relationship, certainly not a normal relationship. And this is certainly not a normal person. You are involved in an exchange. And you're coming out on the losing end of that exchange. It's a transaction, which is really a better word. The Bible says in Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Sometimes you think that you're dealing with carnal foes or natural weapons or natural enemies, when the reality is that you are quite often dealing with demonic forces that are working through people. And you're wondering, why is it that you feel like you're losing your mind? It's because this is not like a normal relationship with a normal person where we don't agree or we don't see eye to eye and we go our separate ways like normal people do. This is an encounter with an entity, so to speak. This is on another level. This is another frequency. You know, you're playing from one level, but this individual is playing from a whole different platform, and they're making you think that they're playing the game you're playing, but they're not. And the Bible says in James 4:6, but he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but gives grace to the humble. That's not really what I wanted. I wanted the text where he says, where the Bible talks about resist the devil, and I think that's in verse 5. Let me see if I can get there. James 4. This is why I pre-write my stuff so we don't have these delays. But he giveth more grace, wherefore he said, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace to the humble. Verse 7 says, submit yourselves therefore to God. Watch this. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Once you recognize what you're dealing with as a demonic force, it is then that you can come or should come to a place where you put the pieces together and realize I'm not involved in a relationship. I'm involved in a situationship that is demonic. And then you must begin the process of resisting the devil. And resisting the devil quite often has to be, as I said earlier, a process that you untie that situation. But internally, you reset your own psyche and your own expectations, and you begin to map your way out of this diabolical situation that you find yourself in. Now, here are a few things that I want to give you. Relative to indifference or demonstrating indifference towards a narcissist or narcissistic abuse. Number one, when something should make you angry, when this person says or does something that should make you angry, respond calmly. Because remember, they're feeding off of your emotional energy. They are leeching. They are emotional vampires, and their lifeline is in you having an emotional explosion towards certain behaviors. And so you begin to demonstrate indifference by when they say something or do something that should promote anger in you, you respond calmly. It's all, okay, they stayed out all night. And then they come in and the sun is up and they're used to you flying off the handle. Where were you at? What were you doing? And instead you just kind of walk in, good morning, how are you? You have a good night? Oh, okay, all right, good. Need some breakfast? You want some breakfast? And so now they're sitting there trying to figure out, because they're accustomed to you, or they put something up on social media to intentionally humiliate you, to break you down, and they know you saw it, but you say absolutely nothing about it. You respond calmly. And the Bible says in Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. And when you look at that text, it definitely means, you know, if I respond calmly to you, I can prevent you from becoming angry and possibly violent. But it can also be reversed. If I have a soft answer or calm response to you, I can also prevent myself from going there. And you have to understand that the narcissist desires for you to go there. They feed on it. They love it. It builds them up. The more emotional and angry you get, you know, they feel successful. A narcissist feels a sense of control when they can, at will, control or prompt your mood, or when they can control your blood pressure. And they almost, you know, say to themselves or their friends, watch me go in here, watch this. I'm gonna make her blood pressure go up now. And then he comes in there, and then you have a very calm response to something that used to get a very, you know, emotional response from you. Now you're kind of draining the energy out of this individual. This is why they bring you through a continuous cycle of drama, or cycles of drama. It's never a steady ride with a narcissist. It's always a bipolar experience. And this is intentional. As long as they can stir you up, they then know that they are in control of the puppet strings. The moment you can respond calmly to something that used to throw you, you know, to the farthest extremes, they are now realizing that I'm losing a grasp on these puppet strings. Now, the second thing I'll say to you is that there are times that you need to just agree with their twisted logic quickly. You come in and say something just really, really foolish, and you know they're looking at you to see how you're going to respond to it, and you say, okay, yeah, you're right. You know, rather than arguing with them, you say, well, it's over here, it's north, and you know it's south, and then you realize they're in that argumentative state, and you say, okay, yeah, you're right. Do it your way. Let's follow your thing. Then they go on up north, and then they start realizing that it's not north, and all of that kind of thing, and then they go to backpedaling, and you just sitting there looking at them. You know, they're out there now. They're out there by themselves. You got to learn many times that you never win an argument with a narcissist, but every time you argue with a narcissist, the narcissist wins, because the argument is the win for the narcissist. It's not about being right or being wrong. It's about keeping you on an emotional puppet string. So there are times that you just have to be indifferent, and you have to just agree, okay, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, you're right. You always right. You're a genius. You're a genius. You're always right. And then just proceed to get on your phone and just go through your Facebook and just check out. Just check out. And again, it's not passive aggressive behavior. It's the response to passive aggressive behavior, because that is what the narcissist uses to control his or her victims. And the Bible says in Matthew 5:25, agree with thine adversary quickly while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. And here's the underwriting principle of this text. You got to learn to agree with angry people quickly. Just let them have it. Let them have the win, because if you don't, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and you come out on the losing end. So you have to learn to just, you're right. Oh man, you're right. God bless you. And then check out of the conversation. Third thing, take a while to respond to questions or accusations. And sometimes don't respond at all. You know, they'll make statements like, you know, it doesn't take you that long to go to the drugstore or go to the grocery store. I think you was out there cheating on me with somebody. And then you just kind of look at them. Don't say no. Don't confirm I wasn't cheating. I wasn't cheating. I would never cheat on you. No more of that. No more of that. It's just like, were you cheating on me? No, no, I'm not a cheater. You know, I think, you know, now what has happened is you've taken control. Because now he or she's in the position that they wanted to put you in, where they are flying off emotionally. Now, of course, you have to know who you're dealing with, because sometimes, again, this can be a very dangerous person. And so you have to know exactly who you're dealing with or what you're dealing with, because if you were to reap the full brunt of this person's anger, are you able to physically withstand that? You know, you have to ask yourself these questions. So it requires a balance of wisdom, but take a while to respond to questions or accusations, these wild, crazy accusations they make. You know, if they send you a crazy text, just don't even answer it. Just become indifferent. You know, normally they send you a crazy text, and then you love so much, you know, you just calling immediately. I can't believe. No more of that. Don't even respond to it. Proverbs 29:11 says, a fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keeps it until afterwards. You're never supposed to let a person know everything that you're feeling or thinking. Sometimes you got to take a while to respond, and sometimes you need not respond at all. You know, like I have narcissists that come at me sometimes on social media or whatever, and I just don't respond to them, because in my universe, they don't matter. You can say whatever you want. You can write whatever you want, and if it's not vulgar or full of profanity or whatever, I pretty much leave it up there. I want the people to see how foolish you are. But I don't ever respond. I never respond to people that have the time or the negative energy to say something that is intended to injure me. I'm beyond that. So you can say whatever you want, you know. I'm beyond that. You don't matter. You are a non-factor in my universe. And I'm going to make you realize that without saying that to you. In fact, by not saying that to you, makes you realize that even the more. All right. Here's number 4, and I'll shut it down here. Sometimes you got to just play crazy. You got to just play crazy, you know, because one of the things we talked about that I've learned is how the narcissist will gaslight you, where they create scenarios to make you feel like you're out of your mind. You know, kids like this. You heard that noise upstairs? You heard that noise? And you're like, what noise? What noise? And you running upstairs. What noise? What noise? Nothing's up here. Nothing's up here. And so then you come back down. I heard it again. I heard it again. And then, oh, really? Call the police. Call the police. Well, that's gaslighting. That's intentionally to keep you frantic, keep you, you know, just on edge, like you losing your mind. Well, sometimes you got to just, you know, hear that noise. You heard the noise? Yeah, I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it. You gonna go get him? You gonna go get him? And then fall right off. Sometimes you just got to play crazy. You got to just play crazy. When you play crazy, it will confuse and frustrate the narcissistic abuser. When you play crazy, when they throwing out all this stuff, and you just kind of playing into it, you know, when you should be scared, you smiling. When you should get loud, you're quiet. You know, when you just kind of play crazy, where they can't read you anymore, and it's you know, it's like the tables are reversed. They're used to making you fearful, but now because you so twisted, they don't know if they've pushed you to the limit that maybe this person is dangerous towards me now. You got to just play crazy. And the Bible says, Proverbs 24:7, wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gate. What is the wisdom of that text? When you begin to operate on a different level of consciousness called wisdom, you operate at a place that's too high for the foolishness of a narcissist. And so what happens is when it says he openeth not his mouth in the gate, he gets to a place where you shut him down. He doesn't know how to say or how to communicate whatever it is that's on his or her mind. They don't even know how to articulate it anymore because you're operating from such a high place, they don't even speak that language. And they begin to realize that maybe I'm out of my league. While they're playing checkers, you've changed the game to chess. And before long, because as I've learned from certain authorities, narcissists get bored very easily. And some of the things that a narcissist needs the emotional response from his victim, needs to know that he's in control of the situation, just needs the adrenaline rush of watching you go and do the bipolar thing at his or her, whim. When you stop providing those things for the narcissist becomes very bored. And when the narcissist gets bored, the narcissist usually moves on. And it puts you in a position where you have effectively untied the knot, because now you've become uninteresting to the narcissist. So this is some stuff, man, that I'm studying, and I hope that it's helping you. Hope that you're getting something out of it. And if you're involved in a situation like this now, I do these things to kind of help you through and to help you to understand that there is hope. And there are all kinds of people that you can talk to. I would encourage you to get a therapist to help you unpack some of this stuff. If you've been the victim of narcissistic abuse for a long time, you really need a therapist to help you to figure things out because your brain is scrambled. And I'm also learning that a lot of people who deal with this for long periods of time, some have dealt with it from childhood, from parents, and then on to lovers and what have you. Some people have children that are narcissistic abusers. It many times leaves a person with post-traumatic stress disorder, and you don't really know what's going on with you. So you need to really go and unpack this stuff. And once you sit down with someone who's really qualified to help you unpack this stuff, your brain is then able to put all of the pieces together, and you see how this person has erected this structure of confusion in your mind. And now you're able to see it, and now you're able to, effectively anger about this. And the Bible says, be angry and sin not, but anger in a way that is constructive and moves you forward and out of the reach of this individual. So I encourage you to do that. Find somebody that can help you. Father, I thank you for this time that I've had, and I thank you for this subject matter and how it resonates with so many people. God, I thank you for continuing to pour into my heart whatever it is you'll have me to say from a spiritual perspective to help people to see through this and to process this. And I thank you for victory. I thank you for healing. I thank you for wholeness in the life of every individual, God, that is presently struggling with the things we talked about today. Give them wisdom and give them victory in Jesus' name. Hey, I'm R.C. Blakes. If this is your first time checking this out, checking our channel out, if you like this, hey, subscribe and, hang out with us for a while. Make sure you leave your comments for me. Share this on your social media platforms. Help me to grow my community, to grow my family. if you would. Don't forget to stop by Amazon to pick up my books. You can also go to my personal web store at rcblakes.com, and you can buy my books there as well. On my web store, you'll also find my workbooks for 2 books in particularly, Queenology and The Father-Daughter Talk. Also go to rcblakes.com, and if you've not purchased my online program, Transcending the Father Wound, you probably should do that if you've struggled with a father wound. Your father wasn't there, made some bad choices. Hey, and trying to figure out, how do I put life together? I think Transcending the Father Wound will definitely give you a spiritual perspective that will institute healing, the process of healing in your heart. You can also look on my website at live events, and you can see where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be. You can register for any of my conferences, as well as you'll see indications of places that I'm invited to speak that are free events that you can participate in. So I love you. I thank God for you. And Lisa and I are always praying for you. You can reach out to us at pastorrcblakes@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. If it takes us a while to answer your email, it's because we get a lot. So if we haven't answered it, try to send it again. And we try to do between our whatever we have going on, we try to answer the emails. But send it to us again. It is our heart to answer your emails. We're not ignoring you. It's just that we get a lot. Well, I love you. Thank you again for hanging out with me. And remember this as I leave you. You are on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. God bless you. Until next time.